Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to get into what the network does, the Bitcoin network, what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, a little bit of the history, where it's headed, and all the stuff that'll drive price, whether it goes up or down. So, we're going to get into it here. So, Bitcoin is the future of money, is my opinion. So, what makes Bitcoin what it is? It's very unique. It is the only one of its kind. Some people might say I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. Yes, I do like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is my favorite of all my cryptos. It is the original, the granddaddy of them all. And it fulfills a lot of different things. And Bitcoin has been forked. It had forked into Bitcoin Cash, which has since forked several times. Bitcoin Silver, Bitcoin ABC, or Bitcoin Cash ABC. All kinds of things. We're going to get into that. I'll do a separate one on Bitcoin Cash and what is going on there compared to Bitcoin. But this is going to be strictly about Bitcoin. So the best thing about Bitcoin is scarcity. And not necessarily the best, but that's what creates the price movement, right? That's the biggest driver. There's going to be only 21 million created, and between 5 and 7 million been permanently lost because people either lost their private keys, couldn't remember their password, or whatever. There's a lot of people in the very beginning who got it. They didn't have these wallets that we have today, and it made it a lot more complicated. Also, the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, has 1 million that's still sitting in his wallet right now, his or her or their wallet. Could be a group of people, could just be one individual. We don't know, and we may never know. But that doesn't matter, because the whole point of this system was created, and it is almost a near perfect system. I mean, nothing is perfect, but it is as good as could be for sound money. So anyway, 1 million sits in his wallet and is not going to be moved, hasn't been moved, could eventually be moved, we don't know. It's a trustless network, proof of work. So it's mining that creates it, right? There's a proof of work. It's a group of 72,000 computers that all have to agree on a transaction or it's rejected. If you try to create a false transaction into a block, you would have to recreate all the other blocks past it in order for the transaction to be approved, which so far has been impossible to do, which makes it the most secure computer network on Earth. It uses SHA-256 SIC miners, which work exclusively to protect Bitcoin blockchain, the whole network. That's all it does. It secures the network. It's digital ledger technology. The blocks are created and verified. Now, one of my favorite things about Bitcoin is you hold it. You hold it personally. It can't be confiscated. If the government or IRS wanted to get it, they cannot get it from you if you hold it in your own cold storage wallet. You hold the keys. You control it. You have the password. So you could take that to the grave if you want. You can give it to somebody else. You can do what you want with it, but you control it. So the Bitcoin network itself is a layer 1 protocol. And what happened with Bitcoin Cash, so we get in a little bit of history here, is there were miners who thought the whole point of what Satoshi wanted to do is use this as a transactional protocol where, you buy a cup of coffee with it. But the blocks were too small, 1 megabyte, and the transactions were too slow and too expensive. So you might pay $25 for your cup of coffee, or $3 cup of coffee, so that wouldn't make it worth it. So there's a group of them that decided to fork off and create Bitcoin Cash. So that's what happened there. There since has been things done to help create, really reduce cost for Bitcoin if you wanted to use it transactionally. It's a layer 2. The Lightning Network, right? The Lightning Network allows you, it's built on top of Bitcoin, so it doesn't affect the Bitcoin network. It's separate, but it allows you to do transactions with Bitcoin for pennies on dollar, almost free. And the transactions are very quick. So it may compensate or be far better than what the whole point of what Bitcoin Cash is. So we'll do a separate video on Bitcoin Cash. It may make it irrelevant. It may not. We will see how it goes here. That's a story still to be told. But as of right now, Bitcoin is still the king. So digital gold is also talked about as a storage of wealth, right? And you could move it. It is easily movable, unlike gold, right? If you store in 10, 20 bars of gold, not easy to lug that around with you. But if you're going around from country to country, you have it here on your smartphone, you have your private keys, you have your password up here, you control it, and you can easily move it. It is sound money. So, and you look at gold too. Gold, there's additional gold that can be mined. And there's the ETF, the GLD gold ETF. And that is basically allows for people to create way more than there is a physical supply of gold, paper gold. Same thing with silver, SLV. That ETF creates the same problem. Plus, silver can be mined in the same way. That additional silver can be pulled from the ground. You cannot pull more than 21 million Bitcoin. So you have a limited supply. Think about it this way. There's over 45 million millionaires on Earth and only 21 million Bitcoin. So there's not even enough for one Bitcoin to every millionaire. And if you have over one Bitcoin, you're one of the few people out there on the planet that do. I look at Bitcoin too as an inflationary hedge. Part of the reason it's an inflationary hedge is because of that fixed supply of 21 million. And the more governments around the world keep printing and devaluing their currency, the more people are going to look at other alternative assets to be in, whether it be real estate, the stock market, and eventually Bitcoin. Bitcoin is definitely going to get pushed up in an asset class. So it is an inflationary hedge. Transactions are private. However, the blockchain is transparent, which means a transaction can be tracked from wallet to wallet. We just don't know who the owner of those wallets is necessarily. So that gives a nice layer of privacy. The future of Bitcoin, as I said earlier about layer 2 protocol like Lightning, that's built on top of to speed up the transactions or reduce the costs. So it allows the holders of Bitcoin, if they want to go to Dunkin' Donuts or a coffee house and buy a coffee with crypto, they'll be able to do it now. And you can do it a lot with, there's these different Visa, MasterCards out there that hold Satoshis. And Satoshis is just one, I think it's 210 quadrillionth of a Bitcoin. So you need a certain amount of Satoshis to equal that amount, obviously. But there's different ways to do it and still use Bitcoin. You can do it through the Visa, MasterCard. And there are some different companies out there, businesses that do accept crypto as payment, multiple ones. Most common ones you'll see are going to be Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and maybe Ethereum. Ethereum is very expensive transactionally, so that was probably not very often used. All right, as I said earlier, inflation around the world is going to push more people into Bitcoin. If you're in Argentina, where you're having 100% inflation, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, all these countries that have runaway inflation, Europe right now over 10%. These people are going to look for alternatives, and Bitcoin is going to be a great alternative. There's big, huge ETFs like BlackRock or companies like BlackRock that is going to create an ETF. They just filed for it, the SEC last week. It really bumped up Bitcoin's price, shot up around $5,000 because of this, as well as other cryptos like Bitcoin Cash and others. So this is likely to be approved because BlackRock has had 575 out of its 576 ETFs approved by the SEC. So it's highly likely that this is going to happen. And as regulations roll out over the next couple of years in the United States, especially, it's going to probably take a couple of years here still until Congress settles everything out. Once that happens, you're going to have a lot more money going into Bitcoin and other cryptos, but especially Bitcoin initially. These ETFs, it's going to be traded for Bitcoin. So that's going to push money, more and more money into Bitcoin. That's it on Bitcoin. I'm going to go into some other different cryptos later on here. Hope you guys enjoyed that and got a bit out of it. If so, make sure you click on the like button and remember to subscribe to the channel. Catch you on the next one.